include former South Vietnam's Prime Minister Nguyen Cao Ky and former Secretary of State Alexander Haig. That's on Nightline following your local news. And that's 2020 for tonight. We're in touch, so you be in touch. I'm Hugh Downs.
I'm Barbara Walters.
And for all of us at 2020, good night.
For a transcript of tonight's broadcast, send $3 to Journal Graphics, Box 2020, Ansonia Station, New York, New York, 10023. This has been the ABC News Magazine, 2020.
Don't drink and drive. A public service message from ABC.
Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Take a sure shot when the Harlem Globetrotters jazz it up in New Orleans. Plus a final test for top 3-year-olds in the Derby Trial live. And a special Kentucky Derby preview on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Saturday.
Two Irving firemen who reported raw sewage say something was fishy about indictments against them. Phone lines are hot at the Capitol, but the federal budget is still on hold. And Bishop College says goodbye to red ink. The News 8 update is next.
Sometimes things that look alike are very different when you look closer, like snowflakes. Homes are like that. So are people who sell them. We're Coldwell Banker Real Estate, America's largest full-service real estate company, and we have different and better ways to help people find the right home. And those differences should give you a very warm feeling. Coldwell Banker Real Estate, the home sellers, a member of the Sears Financial Network.
It is art, moving. It is superb machinery. It is the best Jaguar ever built, blending the luxury of rare walnut and soft leather with the response of a sports car and a legendary fuel-injected engine. Jaguar luxury is so complete that you don't have to spend a penny extra on options. XJ6, the best Jaguar ever built. Test drive the XJ6 sedan at your Jaguar dealer.
It's Tom Clark delivering at 9:28. It's a 7:27 over the Golden Gate. It's Bill Flynn coming through when time can't wait. It's UPS Next Day Air, and that means getting it there. Getting it there for American industry with early morning delivery, speed, economy. It's Jim Wilson getting jets on their way. It's the UPS system working night and day. It's UPS Next Day Air, and that means getting it there.
Getting it there. The spirit of Texas on air.
This is the News 8 Update. With Tracy Rowlett, John Criswell, Troy Dungan with weather, and Dale Hanson on sports.
They lost their jobs, but they won in court today. Good evening. I'm Phyllis Watson, sitting in for Tracy Rowlett.
Two Irving firefighters have been cleared of criminal charges in a case with political overtones. Both men claim the state never had any evidence against them, and it was a clear case of retaliation. Channel 8's Bill Brown reports.
I saw raw sewage coming out of here in its raw form. There was also toiletries, condoms, just raw toiletry. And it's just flowing all into the Trinity River out of this floodgate right here. There was several hundred fish belly up.
Jerry Nichols wanted to be a good citizen, he says, so he called us to blow the whistle on the illegal dumping of raw sewage into the Trinity River. Nichols is an Irving fireman. Last October, he and the other men in the station at Las Colinas noticed a horrible stench. They walked out behind the station and discovered the sewage pouring through a floodgate. Somehow, the human waste had backed up by the Las Colinas Lake, and each night someone was letting it out. Nichols thought it was a health threat, so he called the Irving Health Department and other city officials. Nothing was done. Soon after that, the fireman and a fire captain, Jerry Gamble, were shot. Both were hit with grand jury indictments, accused of stripping and burning a car. But both claimed it was political retaliation. Nichols says Fire Chief Gene Spillman was chewed out by his bosses because Nichols had embarrassed the city. Gamble says he had had many run-ins with the chief, and Spillman wanted to get back at both men. The firemen went to trial, but Judge John Ovard abruptly quashed the indictment, saying they were vague and badly written. The DA's office could refile the charges, but the word is Henry Wade will not. Meanwhile, Chief Spillman has nothing to say about all this. Now the sewage has finally been cleaned up, and the 2 firefighters will now fight to get their jobs back, plus back pay. Bill Brown, Channel 8 News.
In Fort Worth this evening, police are investigating complaints that a substitute teacher fondled 11 elementary school children in class. The incident occurred 1 week ago at the Sam Rosen Elementary School on Fort Worth's north side. The children apparently complained to the staff and teachers. The substitute teacher was fired the next day and is now being questioned by police. And Channel 8 News has learned tonight that a Board of Corrections member is being investigated by the State Bar for unethical conduct. The State Bar regulates lawyers, and it's looking at attorney Tom McDade's handling of a polygraph on a prison inmate. As Brad Watson reports, there's a question whether McDade was acting as a board member or as a private attorney helping his friend, Senator Carl Parker.
Told the newspaper he is...
Houston attorney Tom McDade insisted at last November's meeting of the Corrections Board that he arranged for the polygraph test because he felt the inmate was being pressured. McDade claimed inmate David Johnson was being harassed by Jefferson County investigators to make up a criminal case on State Senator Carl Parker. However, letters Parker sent to Johnson and Johnson's statements now indicate McDade had been hired as a private attorney by Parker and that McDade was using his influence to help Parker, his friend. Repeated efforts were made to interview McDade, but he was unavailable. In a December 1983 letter to Johnson, Parker said he was planning to take some kind of action against political opponents and wanted information from Johnson. Parker told him, "One of the attorneys that has agreed to represent me is Mr. Tom McDade of Fulbright and Jaworski. He intends to talk to you with a view toward obtaining a sworn statement." But McDade told the board a different story. He said Johnson had asked to talk to him and wanted the sworn statement.
Parker reported to me that he had a client who was incarcerated in TDC who had been subjected to harassment, threats, and abuse of the most insidious sort. Further, Parker reported that his client, David Johnson, wanted to talk to me. However, because I was skeptical of his story, Johnson demanded to execute an affidavit in which he would swear to the allegations he had made.
Johnson says he had not asked to see McDade, but he later knew who McDade was representing.
When that all came forward, had you heard of McDade at all?
No, I didn't know of Fulbright and Jaworski.
So it's your understanding that when McDade had approached you, he was actually representing Parker?
Well, yeah, that he was doing it on Parker's request, of the polygraph.
State Representative Ray Keller, whose committee oversees prisons, has filed a complaint against McDade with the State Bar of Texas, and the bar confirms it's investigating. Keller also says McDade should resign.
He lied about his capacity. I think his activities are despicable, but the fact that he lied about it, that he was not truthful to the public at a time when we are demanding truth beyond any stretch of the imagination from that particular agency, I think he's outlived his purpose and his usefulness on the board.
The polygraph cost the state $100, and TDC says McDade has not reimbursed the state. Travis County District Attorney Ronnie Earl could pursue that as a theft of state services case, and a spokeswoman says they will probably investigate if a complaint is filed against McDade. Ironically, McDade was one of Earl's witnesses in the trial of Attorney General Jim Maddox, who was accused of trying to put McDade's law firm, Fulbright and Jaworski, out of the bond business. Brad Watson, Channel 8 News.
The state of Texas is being asked to look into the conduct of Tarrant County District Attorney Tim Curry. The NAACP is asking Attorney General Jim Maddox to investigate Curry's actions surrounding a police shooting last November. In a taped conversation with a police officer, Curry said he did favors to clear 2 white Fort Worth officers in the November shooting of a black teenager. Today, NAACP officials announced they would contact Maddox and the Prosecutor's Council of the state of Texas, a lawyers' professional group, to look into Curry's actions surrounding the shooting inquiry. Curry has denied any wrongdoing. A recount of ballots in Fort Worth's 8th District shows incumbent City Councilman Jim Bagsby is the winner. The recount was requested by Bagsby's unsuccessful challenger, Virginia Nell Weber. Totals show Bagsby defeated Weber by 169 votes. Despite the outcome, Weber says she'll go to court and challenge the election because of what she calls voting irregularities. After the recount, the City Council officially certified Bagsby as the winner. He'll be sworn in next week.
2 Fort Worth parents whose daughters are among the city's 9 murdered or missing women say the terms of several reward funds are too restrictive. The Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce and a Dallas-based radio station have offered a combined $150,000 in reward money. The rewards require that the person supplying the information cannot remain anonymous and must testify in court. Gary Ewart and LaVon Griffin are the parents of 2 victims, and they say the requirements are too strict and may be preventing some people from coming forward.
If it could be that the person could remain anonymous, or the information might lead to the indictment instead of the conviction and arrest. I think that we might bring forth some information that would really help.
But a member of the Fort Worth Chamber of Commerce, which has organized a $50,000 reward, says there's little chance the requirements will be changed. The chamber official says because there is so little evidence available, police will need court testimony. Director of the Dallas Theater Center, Adrian Hall, is hospitalized tonight in a Providence, Rhode Island hospital. 57-year-old Hall suffered 4 broken ribs and neck injuries when he was hit broadside by an oncoming car. The other driver says Hall ran a flashing red light. Hall says he stopped. He's been ordered to appear in court May 8th.
And in New York tonight, a man has finally been arrested after holding police at bay, threatening to blow up St. Patrick's Cathedral. For 2 hours, the unidentified man said he would explode a bomb unless he could meet with the new cardinal of the diocese. Although it isn't immediately known if the man actually had a bomb, the church was evacuated. In Washington tonight, the Senate adjourned without voting on President Reagan's belt-tightening budget. Throughout the day, Congress was flooded with phone calls and telegrams from constituents expressing their thoughts on the budget cuts. At last word, opinion was running about 50-50 on the president's plan outlined last night on television, which eliminates or slashes many popular programs like small business loans and Social Security. Senate debate on the budget will begin tomorrow.
A collective sigh of relief tonight at Dallas's Bishop College.
School officials are celebrating an end to a decade and a half of money woes. That story is ahead.
And a rally today in Austin to push for taking care of people who can't afford health care.
And if you can afford it, a device to track your stolen car.